I would verbally be yelled at to the point where I was crying.
At what point did you feel like, oh, this is a cult?
It's not the real Miranda. It's not my friend. Once I realized that the real Kylie is not here anymore, and I don't know where she is, and then I saw allegations out, like if that doesn't show you how it's set up within the inside, I don't know what else does.
Kylie Douglas, welcome
me.
to After Curfew.
Thank you.
I'm so happy to have you here.
I'm excited to be here.
Girl, we're going to get into it today. I just want to thank you first for taking the time to come chat with us on After Curfew.
Of course.
Before we get into the drama, I don't even want to say drama because that's kind of like...
It is dramatic.
It is dramatic.
Yeah.
But give us a little backstory. Like, walk us through who Kylie is. How did you get started in dancing?
Okay.
What got you here?
Well, I started dancing when I was 2. My mom put me in classes, and then ever since then, I never stopped dancing. So it was like, I was like born and raised into dance. And then from there in high school, that's when I realized like hip hop's what I want to do. I'm going to move to LA. I had some scholarships I got. And so I had to say bye to mom. She left me out here in LA. And then from there, my dance career really started, because prior to that, it was all dance training, right? But once I moved to LA, my career got going, started working for performing arts programs. I was training like 6 hours a day, 7 hours a day in classes, you know, just trying to be the best I could be. That way I can follow my career in the best way possible. And now I get to teach kids and also share my passion with my company that I have now.
You're 26.
26.
You own a studio.
It's a company.
It's a company.
And I have like a few different levels of like the mini vaults and then my older vaults.
That's insane.
Thank you.
Like, good on you, girl. Entrepreneur.
Yep. Hey.
Hello.
We do all things.
We do it all. Jack of all trades.
Yep. We're getting into it.
You saw me put the cards down.
I know. I saw the look in your eyes. I was like, uh-oh.
You're like, hell no.
Here we go.
So walk me through the very beginning. What was your first initial reaction or feelings you've had with 7M and the church?
When I first got started going to the Bible study meetings and being at the dinners, I was comfortable. I wasn't going into it searching for red flags. I had my partner with me at the time. I had dancers I looked up to that were sitting right next to me, people that I've known like Miranda. I'm still searching for myself in God, right? And I'm still looking for where I'm supposed to be on my walk. So that was where I was like hungry to be there, because I was like, okay, I know that we are here for a Bible study to learn more about God and things like that. And so that excited me. And I was like, okay, I'm with my friends. We have someone who's sharing the word with us, the word of God. And then eventually is when I learned, okay, some people are getting invited. What is this? Why are some people invited and some people aren't? And that's when it didn't come off to me again as a red flag. It came off to me as like, I want to be there too. That is, how I found out about the church, was from other people being invited and then people like me who weren't from the start.
And I think that's such an important thing to say. Like, why would there be red flags in a church community?
Right.
I mean, obviously, churches can have red flags.
Right.
But of course, you're not looking out for that. You're looking out for a community. You just moved to LA. Your boyfriend was a part of it at the time.
Right.
There were so many things that were pointing like, hey, this is great. How did you feel about the invites? Like, did you ever think, that's kind of odd?
To put it like almost in a dance sense, right? You get to one audition and then you need to get a call back to go to the next, right? And then to go to the final round, you need another call back. So it keeps you like hungry to get to the next level. And I kind of was looking at it in that sense while I was there. Like, okay, the next level is getting invited to services. And then from there it was, okay, now I need to get invited to 2 services because there's a Sunday and a Wednesday. Looking at it from like a dancer side of you, getting called back to things excites you. And for me, that was all that was in my head. It was like, I want to be invited. I want to be included. What's next?
Right. It goes back to that acceptance.
Right.
You want to be accepted.
Right.
Coming fresh from Detroit. Are you from Detroit?
Yeah.
Okay, Detroit.
Yep.
I was just picking a place in Michigan. I'm
Somewhere.
psychic. Hi, I'm psychic. Yeah, you're like, I want community.
My boyfriend at the time is invited. Why wouldn't you want to be with your partner? Like we lived together already at the time too. So it was like, if I wasn't, in these meetings or whatever, we were separated, which was weird for us because we normally weren't separated a lot. Even that made me be like, oh, well, I want to be with him, so of course I want to go.
Right.
I want to be invited to the church, right? Because I see my boyfriend's invited, I see my friends are invited, and I've been looking for a church. So it's like all those things combined. We may want to join things because other people are there or our friends are there. We think it's safe already, but at the end of the day, this world's crazy, and now I've relearned and made myself re-aware that like I need to check my values, my morals, my mental, my heart. I need to check all these things before going in and investing into a group or a place, a job, a friend, anything.
You can look at like a bad relationship where
Right.
you're like, oh, I can't see the red flags, or
Right.
like I'll paint my nails red and match those red flags.
Right.
But it's like you are just like, I'm so excited.
Right.
And sometimes like that's such a
Yeah.
common like thing as humans that we do.
Right.
Once we feel like a little bit accepted by something, we want to go for that.
Yeah.
And we put our blinders on.
Right.
At what point did you feel like, oh, fuck, this
Yeah.
is a cult?
Yeah. Throughout my time there was a lot that made me not feel comfortable. But again, my friends are all there. My boyfriend's there. I was kind of like forcing myself to feel comfortable in an environment where I knew I wasn't going to be respected for who I am. And so I was kind of like continuing to try to fit a mold and to try to please everyone. And like once I realized that the real Kylie is not here anymore and I don't know where she is, and then I saw allegations out and I saw that other women felt certain ways that I felt, that really sparked me to realize like, okay, this is not where I'm supposed to be. I shouldn't be feeling like this. I shouldn't be questioning like who I am. That was really in my mind, like the final thing of like, okay, this has got to stop. Like I got to stand up for myself and no one's going to do it for me. Even though I'm waiting around for my friends and my boyfriend at the time, like I have to do that on my own. And then hopefully, other people will be able to do the same. That was hard for me to do because I didn't know if anyone around me was going to do the same.
Yeah.
So it's like I could very much just leave and then everybody else stays. It was hard because I wouldn't want to be separated from them. But either way, again, I needed to do what's best for me.
And you were still with your ex-boyfriend at that time?
Yeah.
Okay. And I mean, that is enough reason to stay.
Right.
In a sense. That's somebody that you love, that you trust.
Right.
Not having that or not knowing that they're going to take your hand and come with you.
Right.
Did you guys have discussions?
So we had like a meeting like with a few of us dancers and we were just sharing stories of like, things that happened that like my friend didn't know of or my boyfriend didn't know of because things were so exclusive and like
Things
secretive.
that would happen to you in private.
Things that happened like throughout our stay in the church.
Can you give me an example of something?
I would say like treatment. So for some of the dancers, right, they're included in everything. They're getting all the deals. They're going to every meeting. They're going to every service, every content day, whatever. They have more meetings with their mentors, etc. And then some of us not only didn't have those things, but we're also continuously being beaten down when other dancers weren't, and verbally. Like I would verbally be yelled at to the point where I was crying and I was just sitting there and I had other women around me watching me get in trouble, right? For things that I didn't even know they were wrong. Like going home for Christmas,
You got yelled at for going home to your family
right,
for Christmas.
but it's not even like I'm just getting yelled at and it's just me and my mentor. It's like I'm getting yelled at in a meeting where I have people around me that I was looking up to. I have people around me who are my friends who now are maybe looking at me like, oh, she's in the wrong. Like it creates this circle of uncertainty of like what people are going to think of you after now. But the way that their system and circle is set up is to be like that, to like turn eyes and be like, oh, maybe she's not following her walk correctly, or this person is, and she's getting these deals because of it, and then this person's not, and that's why she's not included. Like it's very set up in a way where they know what they're doing, and they want it set up that way.
Right.
But I don't think people really realized that until we had our meeting, like of some of us dancers, and we were talking about how we actually felt and how these things like really made us feel. it opened eyes to people who weren't beaten down verbally and things like that. And they were having a great time being there, right? And they were getting all the deals again and having fun and whatever, dancing all the time. They were on like a high. When you're on a high like that, you don't see everything that's going on around you.
Right.
So it was like they weren't seeing how I was feeling or how I was being treated, even though he's my boyfriend.
But
you know?
they are seeing it if he's, or whoever is reprimanding you
Right.
in front of a crowd.
Right.
It's one of those things where it's like the red flags. They're looking straight at it.
Right.
And they're turning the other
Right.
cheek.
So the women's meetings are just the women, right? And not even all of them. Some of the, women aren't invited. And sometimes you are, sometimes you aren't. It's just like the services, And then there's men's meetings as well. And so we don't know what is going on in the men's meeting, and the men don't know what's going on in the women's meeting. So that's why a lot of the men that did leave weren't aware of how I was truly feeling, but also because they weren't seeing it. They weren't seeing it, and then I didn't feel comfortable sharing because of how everything is set up. I didn't know who I could trust to share what I was truly feeling or what I was truly going through. So I would like cry myself to sleep almost every single night. And I wasn't the only one doing that.
The invites and the separate meeting, it's literally
Right.
like Soho House for a cult. And then the fact that you guys are not talking to each other. And it took so long for you to have that type of communication.
Everyone had instilled in them that like fear of like what to say, what not to say, who to trust. Because a lot of us too, some of us, we knew each other prior to, so we already had that connection. But a lot of the women in there, I didn't know them until I joined, right? And so I don't know who they are outside of church. I just know how they present themselves in church. And I feel like I didn't really know them on a deep level.
Right.
I just knew them for having the same passion for God and love for God that I did. So it's like I didn't even really know how to talk to these other women for a while. Some of the women that left, I didn't even speak with, have a conversation with until I was out. Yeah. So I was there for however long, right? A few years. And I was sitting right in front of an ex-member and never spoke with her until I left. Like, if that doesn't show you how it's set up within the inside, I don't know what else does. In normal churches too, right? I go to, they're like, everybody stand up, shake the hand by the person behind you, give them a hug, say hi to your neighbor. No.
Not the case.
Not the case here.
Far from it.
Yeah, sit in your seat where you're supposed to be seated and pay attention. And then also, for me, like I'm on the edge of my seat every service because I'm like, who's going to get called out today?
What do you, masses? Is that what you call them?
Yeah, like services.
Were these services led by Robert?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so he would do the reprimanding. Yeah,
he's the one, at the pulpit for however long. We were there for hours too. It was like long services. It wasn't just a 1-2 hour thing. Like we were there 4, 5, 6 hours. It was hard to stay like awake and make sure I'm like,
girl, you need a
getting
triple
everything
XL coffee.
Well, that's how it was. We all had
espresso.
coffees, like Red Bulls, like everybody has juice, like everybody is like, we know like what we have to do to prepare to be able to listen. But
and he
even
yaps
then,
that whole time. I thought I was a yapper.
No,
I thought I could yap for hours.
Mm-mm.
You
got nothing on him,
Robert,
girl. Yeah, no.
Nothing on Robert.
And then again, when you're like worried if you're gonna be getting called out about something, it makes it even longer.
Yeah,
you're sitting there like sweating, like, okay,
what's my fate?
Yeah, what's going on? Yeah.
Gosh, so there's so many things going back to Dancing for the Devil, the Netflix documentary.
Yeah,
there were so many things that he would have, like wake up at 4 a.m.,
right,
read the Bible. What is something that you experienced in there that was just a very why are we doing this?
Well, going off of that,
I guess going for 5 hours of church is a little
going
mental.
for 5 hours of church, and then I guess for me it was scheduling. Like scheduling, I've always been a very independent woman. Like my mom's a single mom. You know, we grew up like hustling for everything and just making everything work on our own. And so for me, as soon as I realized like they want control of everything I'm doing, including my schedule, my time, what I have my hands on, like they want me taking my hands off of. And that to me was really wild and scary. I was working for LAUSD, for the school district, for the performing arts programs.
Okay.
And I was told that, cancel the job or whatever, leave the job you're working with, right? And you can work with 7M and you'll get just as much income. So I'm like, okay, like that sounds great, because again, I wasn't invited to all the dance videos, like the filming and the content days. So that was something I wanted already. So then I'm being told by someone I look up to, like, we can include you in that and we can give you more than you're making, you know, like basically, come on, let's go, let's do it. And I'm like excited and I'm like, okay. And so I did quit that job and I loved that job. I was there for 5 years. That again is another wild thing. It's like the things that you'll do for people you really trust. And I really trusted in my mentors, and the promise didn't even withstand. So I wasn't included after that. You know, it wasn't like okay, today's the day. Kylie made a big, you know, change, and now we're gonna really be there for her and include her and everything. And that was what was promised, and then it didn't even happen. One of the few many crazy things
that
sure I've been through.
We can make that a whole podcast episode. So the house, it's like a hype house for you guys, essentially. Yeah. What was that like? Like you lived with these people. Yeah. Created content. I know sometimes you weren't involved in the content, but like, what was the day-to-day like? Like, did he come in and be like, hey, this is the set list. Like, this is what you guys are up to today. Right. Like, how was that?
When it was a content day that we had like scheduled, and they would rent a house out, like a nice mansion, they'd make sure they have the good quality cameras ready to go. And then in advance, we would have songs that Robert would give us and say, okay, Kylie, you're going to do this song and you're going to do it with Miranda. Aubrey's going to do 7 songs with ABCD. Miranda's going to do 14, whatever. And then again, it's set up to be like every Bible study, we're like waiting for him to say, like, okay, am I going to get a song? Am I not? Does he have a song for me? Because it's tied to like coming from heaven, right? He says it in the documentary, like a sound from heaven, right? And so we look up to that. We're like, okay, we want a song. We want another opportunity to dance to that sound. And so it's not even just like about the hype, right? But he makes it about God and about following, you know, God in the proper way. And so both of them are intertwined together, and you know, we're all excited about who's going to get songs, who's going to get to dance with who. And then that day of the content day, you do have a set list, who's filming where. They'll set up a few different locations, and then you go from there, which to me is like a normal set. You know, it's that wasn't really anything crazy. But again, what I mentioned about like getting the songs. We should be able to dance with whoever we want. I should be able to do as many videos as I want. If I'm a part of your company and you have a content day for everyone in your company, we should all have an equal opportunity to do as many songs or dances as we please, whichever location, and that wasn't the case.
As a creative, you would want to just pick whoever, like pick the song, pick the choreo, pick the partner. Right. Insane. It's like the dance moms with the pyramid. Right. Like, Jodo, you're on top.
Kylie, you're on the bottom.
Kylie, you're on the bottom.
I would have been the poor one always crying that gets pulled off last. Like,
they're like, what's the TikTok sound? It's like, and last.
Yeah, and last we have
Kylie Douglas.
But not anymore.
No, fuck no. So as you left, as this documentary is being made, has anybody reached out to you that's still affiliated? Or have you reached out to anybody?
No, so no one has reached out to me. However, prior to leaving, I did reach out to Miranda and, you know, try to get coffee with her and just chat with her, even if it wasn't about necessarily, you know, shaming everything that's going on. I just wanted to at least say goodbye to her, you know, and I didn't get that. I got declined from asking that, so.
Did she even respond back to you, or was it like left undelivered?
Yeah, she definitely responded, but I knew it wasn't. It's not the real Miranda. You know, it's not my friend. Right. That's reaching out. It's like there's a wall between us, and I could just feel that, and so I just left it at that, and was like, all right, I'll be here whenever she is ready to have a conversation with me. But until then, I can just support from afar.
So you said that there were like little moments where you took a step back and you're like, this is kind of weird. Right. And then when you discussed it with other people and everyone was like, yeah, I'm feeling this as well. Did Miranda ever feel that way? Or do you feel like she's just like fully immersed in it?
She wasn't at the meeting that we had. I don't remember why she wasn't there. So she never got to hear, like I never got to have a conversation with her and tell her how I was feeling about about everything. So I have no clue if she really knows you know, anything that I went through. I don't know how she's feeling. I feel like she purposely wasn't there, though. I do feel that. Mm-hmm. And that way she can continue thinking whatever she's, you know, invested in.
With the 7M management, I know they took a lot of the payment, but you got paid, you did gigs, you got clout. Like we were saying about Hollywood.
Yeah.
And coming here,
Right.
having a dream, having a vision.
Right.
People will, no pun intended, literally dance with the fucking devil.
Right. Yeah, I was getting followers as I was there because I was putting out dance content, but it wasn't like I went from 15,000 to 1 million and I'm skyrocketing and I'm living the dream. Like, no, I was still working really hard for what I was getting. Mm-hmm. And now on the flip side of it, with having full control over what I'm doing better than I was doing when I was there. It took time to get back on track for myself. I had to go through the process of healing. And when I did leave, I started losing followers. Like I couldn't get myself to do content right away. It was a journey that I needed to go through in order to get back on track. And so there was that time of like, okay, my Instagram's like not popping right now, but I didn't care. I was like, I need to focus on, you know, where I'm at in life and what I need to be, you know, diving deeper in. Mm-hmm. And once I did that and started healing and all of that, Instagram came back up. And it was like, okay, I think Instagram and the followers and the fans and supporters that I have on there realize, okay, that's our girl. Like, that's who she is. That's who we're supporting. And from there, it's been way better.
And I think it's so important to take time, like, especially going after or going through something that was so traumatic.
Right.
And you leave it, but your head is still spinning, obviously. Yeah. So you need that time to breathe. And I'm sure you're still processing it. What is life like now? Like, what are we up to? Are we dating?
I have a dog. And so that girl has been like my ride or die through all of this. I mean, I left a cult and I went through a breakup. What else could you go through?
I couldn't even handle a breakup a couple years ago, girl.
Yeah. I'm like, what else could you go through that like it just shook me up so much. And then my kids, the Volts, like they were just there for me, supporting me, loving me through this whole time. Yeah. And so it's just really cool seeing the kids succeed, being able to give that opportunity to these kids and then seeing them take it and run with it. Mm-hmm. It's also healing that like inner child in me too. I just feel like the dog and my work and the circle of friends that I have, everybody's just been such a huge part in my healing and in my journey. And still to this day now I'm like, how was I not with even my friends, like the few girls that I have and the few guys that I have around me right now, I'm like, how did I not see you for like 2 years? And now we're out having drinks and it's like we never left each other's side.
Was it like a mindful thing that you weren't talking to them? Like, how was your relationship throughout being in 7M?
So some of the things that we learn and that we are like trying to take on as we're in the group is, you know, just focusing on who's going to help you with your walk of God or walk with God, which is, you know, mentors, leaders, who's around you in the group and not necessarily outsiders. So, you know, when you're thinking that and you're investing in, you know, your walk with God and you're just trying to get closer to him, you're not going to be looking like too far away from the people that are helping you reach that, you know? Yeah. And so I wasn't, you know, I was still reaching out here and there, but it definitely wasn't like the normal Kylie, like, hey, let's go get drinks. Hey, let's go bowling. Hey, let's go do this. Like, unless there was a pre-planned event or a family function, something like that, then I would like obviously partake in as many of those as I could. I won't even say all because there was a pushback on me being around my family as well.
Did you feel that? Like you knew, like in the documentary, they would say,
die to yourself.
There we go. Die to yourself. Mm-hmm. Were you aware of that? Like, I have to let go of my family in order to take this walk with God?
Yeah. I was definitely aware of it and I was always scared of it. And I feel like that's why I never fully was able to do that too, because I mean, like, my senses were still there, like my heartstrings were still there. Like, no, you're not letting
go. It's like the
of
intuition
people.
too, and you're like, I don't know.
Yeah, and so, but then it was like a mind battle. It was mind battling for me because I wanted to follow their teachings, and I wanted to get closer with God, and I wanted to see it in action too. Like, I saw, different situations for different people and great things happening for them, and I was like connecting that to the fact that like they're doing everything they can and they're following these teachings, right? And so it was mind battling because I want to follow what I'm being taught and I want to see the benefits of that, but at the same time, I'm over here crying every night because I don't want to let go of my family, and I don't want to not go to every family function or every holiday because that's what I normally do.
Yeah.
So it was hard for me to like battle that out in my mind of what I'm really supposed to be doing.
Did anyone reach out to you, like with your family or your friends, and being like, hey, babe?
Yeah.
What's going on?
My family was actually more on like the quiet side. They never mentioned what is this and what's going on. They never asked me those questions, I think because they didn't want to push me away further. So that never was brought up to me. It was just more of like a, hey, I'm reminding you, like, here's a picture of the dog, or here's, all of us together on Easter and we miss you, you're not here. Like, it was constantly reminding me, like, they're my family, they're my rocks, and they miss me and they love me.
Right.
And because they kept reminding me that, I think that's why I was having the mind battle of like, how am I supposed to let that go? But how am I supposed to do what I'm being asked by my mentors? Again, it's just mentally draining and it's abuse,
Yeah.
No one should feel torn between things like that and have to fight myself.
You reached out to Miranda, and she made a statement recently.
Yeah.
Do you believe any of it? Is it all BS? Like, how do you feel about seeing that?
Right. Honestly, I felt disrespected. My truth is my truth and my story is my story. And we should never be downgrading what someone went through just because my experience may have been different than hers or all of theirs, right? Maybe all of our experiences were very different. You shouldn't be throwing disrespect ever towards someone's traumatic experience. I'm hurt by this. Like, it seems like you didn't even watch the documentary. The message doesn't really make sense regarding what was spoken about in the documentary. The clear message of the documentary too is not aligning with your guys' statements. So I was confused, first of all. I was disappointed, and then also that like hurtness was there. These are the words you're saying, and you know the truth, like somewhere in there you know it, and this is what you're saying, and like it just seems like a big game. And from being in there, I know how that game works. And it doesn't seem like those are even her words, I think her sister mentioned that too. Doesn't seem like the real Miranda is really sharing how she feels. It feels like, it seems like it's scripted.
Yeah. Has anyone else stepped forward that's in the community still?
Dancer's not a part of...
Like, she made a statement.
Yeah.
Has anyone else made a statement that's still involved?
I haven't seen any other than actual 7M posted on their Instagram, their statement as well. And then I've seen other dancers make like remarks too, or like hints of their opinion on everything that's going on. And again, it's the same thing. It's just sad to see that the clear message isn't getting to them. And that was one of the goals of this. That was one of the goals of this documentary, is to eventually have these dancers be free. And as of right now, that's not the case. I feel like from their side of it, the only way to look like everything's okay is to downplay it. Either downplay it or play that victim card, that people are saying that you have, right? It's like there's different ways to maneuver it, and I think they're trying all the ways they can,
right?
Even though maybe they're not realizing that it really is hurtful and disrespectful to so many people that are trying to help them. Like, there's so many supporters and dancers and family members who are wanting what's best for them, and then you say something, that's a little like snarky in a way. Why? Or like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. But at the same time, it does make sense to me because I know what's going on. I know from my experience, I know how it is like how it works in there, you know? So I get that it is pretty scripted, and I get that that might not be her real wording, right? But she's playing the part, and she's following God, and she's seeking that. Like that's why we were all there, right? And so you do whatever it takes to continue, you know, doing what you can to get closer with God. Right. And unfortunately, sometimes that hurts, you know, the ones you're closest to.
I can't imagine her seeing this documentary.
Right.
And putting out a statement.
Yeah.
And making TikTok still.
Yeah.
There's no way that she has seen that. Like, do you feel like she's even seen the documentary?
Personally, I don't think any of them would watch the full thing. I think the way that they're thinking right now, too, is like they wouldn't even want to watch that. They know what lane they're in, and they're staying in that lane. Mm-hmm. Like that's very much how it seems. When you believe in something, why would you want to watch someone speak like negative about it? You know, so I don't think that they've seen it. Maybe they've seen clips. I don't know.
I mean, you open up your phone, you scroll through TikTok, you're going to see clips.
Right.
I don't think they can avoid it, but just sitting down and not seeing this, not seeing the victims, not seeing what's actually happening or what has happened before this new dance cult that came in.
Exactly.
Is absolutely mind-blowing and disgusting. Yep. Anyone with a human heart would be like, I need to go. This is awful.
Yeah, and like what you just said about like not seeing what was happening before, but in the documentary, you're able to see that there were other women and other people that were involved with this group, right? Prior to us even being there.
When I go to a restaurant, girl, I'm Googling.
Right.
I'm looking at the menu. I have that shit memorized.
Yeah.
You don't think anybody looked up what this like church or Robert or anyone was about? Maybe,
I guess it's just maybe. Maybe they did, maybe they don't. But again, when you're like wanting something so bad, that whatever's on the menu doesn't matter.
Ooh.
You know, because it's like, no, you just want that. Same thing with like, we're talking about relationships and red flags. It's like sometimes you get so excited about one thing, and then that one thing is what will lead you down the rabbit hole, and you don't even know it.
And I guess when they're so heavy on, this is great, everything's amazing, you're invited, like, la, la, la. It's like, well, shit. I guess I'd be like, this is great. Why am I gonna look for things? Usually, you look for things when
it's going
like
wrong.
You go through a guy's following when you know he's a hoe.
Yeah.
But it's like one of those things where it's like, yeah, I guess you're not really looking.
Right.
But it's just the accusations that were there beforehand are just so awful. And it just blows my mind that anybody would still be standing by this man's side or this organization's side. Yeah. With everything that
has been, like, I mean, all the public allegations of like the women that have came forward, and, you know, women suing him in the past, and like what they've been through and just their situations. It's like, once you see that and realize that, and then also once you meet those people, because to me that was a big thing. Like once I'm meeting like an ex-member and hearing in her voice what she went through and how she's moving now, that is like something I'll hold in my heart. Like you just hear in her voice like just the craziness of what she went through, but also on the plus side, seeing her now, you know, and seeing a lot of ex-members now just like back in their light, doing what they were meant to do. You know, my friends who have left, they're on tours and doing the best things with dance, and just seeing everybody shine again in their specific path, in their specific light. Even, you know, the ex-members that I didn't know until after I left, like seeing them move right now is just, it's beautiful.
I just love that this documentary has really given everybody a podium and mic. Yeah. And the strength to come forward. One thing that did disturb me was the fact that several women had to come forward in order to put together this case. Yeah. If that doesn't say so much about our justice system, awful. Where is that now?
That's something that I am really big on right now, is like, I just came to the realization that like the legal system is not set up to make people feel perfectly comfortable coming forward too. And I went through that myself. Like I was not super comfortable going to the police station and filing a report. Like again, I say it in the documentary, like, and even it was crazy, like watching the other women in the documentary say the same thing I said. And I had no clue they mentioned those things in their interview, right? I'm just now seeing it live when I'm watching the documentary. So like seeing how all our words were basically the same thing, just told by different people, and we had no clue about it is something that like blows my mind. But back to that, like going in and filing a report, right? It's not, you're not comfortable in there. The questions asked to me make me feel like I did something wrong, or like I should have came forward sooner. And it's like, that already is wrong. That's already so wrong, you know, like at least I'm coming forward, you know, at least I'm here now. Like that's how it should be looked at, and it's not. And then also getting justice is another thing it's so hard to do. It should be something that is easy to do. If you've done something wrong, you should be held accountable. Right? And that's plain and simple. That's how it should be. And instead, it's not. It's okay. One wrong thing happened to you. Let's see if it happened to someone else. It's like, are we going to continue waiting around and letting these bad things happen to many other people, and then finally maybe one day we'll get justice for it, maybe not. It's like, it's a waiting game. It's uncomfortable. It's discouraging. And I think right now the best thing that I'm learning I can do too is just to keep spreading awareness that we need to use our voice. Like, obviously, we just mentioned the legal system is not set up in a way for us to get that justice fast. Right? Or maybe even at all. I don't know yet. Okay? But what I do know is that I need to continue using my voice and spreading awareness that it shouldn't be this way, and that all of the women came forward are valid and their truth speaks wonders, you know, and one day, you know, we will get, one day we hopefully, will get our justice for this. It's a crazy thing because, like, it's so sad that there had to be so many women going forward. But now it also feels like, okay, we have each other's hands in this. We all came forward on our own, but now we're together. And it's like we're not gonna sit down and take the seat on it as if maybe if there was only one of us, I can see how one person would just give up.
Because they're interrogating you. You just went through something traumatic, and now you need to reopen that book and hash it out with a stranger. All these women who are coming forward are brave enough to share their story. It's like womanhood at its best. You have each other. You have each other for support. You have each other through this. It's such a traumatic, awful thing, but it is such a beautiful thing that the strength and like the beauty of everybody in this documentary, it was very compelling. And I just want to thank you for being so strong.
Thank you.
And using your voice, staying positive. Like you're absolutely, you're an amazing person.
Thank
absolutely
you.
Amazing girl.
I really feel like I'm finding where I should be using my voice more too. Again, it's like, it's sad that I had to go through that, but also, like, I'm getting things out of it. Like, I'm going to use my voice more. I'm going to stand up for women and what they go through more too, and hopefully even stand up for people who don't feel like they have a voice, right? Maybe I can help be that outlet for people or inspire people to get up and say something when they may feel like they shouldn't, you know? And so, you know, bigger picture here, I really do hope that this will inspire other women to stand up for themselves as well. There is a petition that's been going around on Instagram, and a lot of public has been signing it to try to get this investigation like reopened and ongoing, because it does seem like there's been like a halt, and it's just like, okay, we have all these women that came forward. What's next? You know, what are people being held accountable? ... You know what I mean? Like there's nothing to say that has happened next, because there hasn't been anything. It's just like, okay, we all came forward. We were told we needed one more woman. Okay, one more woman goes in. Nothing. You know, so there is that petition that, you know, people are signing in hopes to get this moving faster and moving forward at all, right? So I can, you know, send you the link.
Send us a link. We'll put it in the show notes.
I'm sure you've seen it going around. It's out there. But yeah, I am thankful that, you know, so many people are trying to really be as supportive as they can in many different ways, other than just like being us for there on Instagram and the DMs and all that. It's amazing. But this is also something that hopefully could play a big role.
What would be the best piece of advice that you can give to somebody that wants to get out of something? Obviously, not everybody, your average person, is stuck in a cult.
Right.
But a bad relationship, a bad career, what would be something that you can give to them to motivate them?
Look further ahead. Look into where you see yourself in the future, and then kind of align it from there. Like, do you see yourself being with that person 10 years from now? Do you see yourself being with that church 10 years from now? And then from there, kind of assess it like that. Like, what would be the next steps that you're hoping to reach your goals for within those 10 years? And is who you're with or the group that you're with going to help you get there? Because sometimes it's like, okay, I have a goal of where I want to go, but you're not checking the people around you. Are the people around you going to help you get there too? Because it's not just me, right? And I mean, it's me and my goal, right? But I'm very well aware that who I surround myself with and my circle is going to be a big part of how fast I get there, when I get there, how I look when I get there. No, I'm just kidding. But, you know, so I would say, like, again, check where you're going. Where do you want to be 10 years from now? Are those people around you going to help you get there? Yes or no? And then also, how do you feel about that situation? Like, what are your feelings about those people going there with you? Do you want them there with you in those 10 years? Or are you kind of like, oh, maybe this is a different me right now, but I want to be someone different in a few years from now? It's like, okay, cool. Well, then that all just needs to be reevaluated moving forward. And I think that's something that I learned I need to consistently do, is like always check myself. You know, am I surrounding myself with the right people? Do I see and imagine myself being where I need to be in 5, 10 years, 2 months from now, you know? And then just keep checking in on yourself, because no one else is going to do that for you. Mm-hmm. You got to do that for yourself. And another thing I would say is be vocal. You know, be vocal about everything, where you want to go, who you want to go with, what you like, what you don't like, what you value, what you don't value, whatever. Just be very vocal about your morals, your beliefs, and your values. Because as long as you're sharing that too with your circle, the right ones are going to stick around. They're going to believe in that too. Mm-hmm. The wrong ones, they'll fall off. For me, it's not easy always speaking about what I went through, but I do it because I know that it could possibly help someone else. And that's why I continue to speak on a touchy topic. You know, I want other people to get up out of their seat and raise their voice for what's right for them, and continue to look towards their goals in their future without looking back. No matter what past they may have had, like, yes, it's attached to you, but you don't have to let it drive you where you're going next. It's like, yeah, it's in the back seat, but you're going this way, you know? And so use your voice, continue moving forward, and, you know, stay true to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. That was so well said. Advice.
What'd I say? No, I'm just kidding.
I know. Isn't that like you black out sometimes? You're just like, wait, what was that?
Did I say something good? No,
Kylie, thank you so much for being here, sharing your story, spending time with us. I know I was inspired and I was moved by you.
Yay.
The documentary here, just getting to know you. I'm sure our audience will absolutely love this episode.
Yay.
Thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me and for me being able to like share my story and everything with you guys. So thank you.
Of course. Thank you, girl.
Yes.
High five, honey.